Welcome to Donuts with a Sprinkle of Social Media, the podcast for all small business owners.
I'm your host, Sean Moat, and with 15 years experience in digital marketing, I've got a passion for small businesses and social media. Each week, we'll speak to a business owner, find out about their business and their struggles with social media. So let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Donuts with a Sprinkle of Social Media. This is episode 3, and I have another friend from Circle Networks joining me, Jessie. Hello, how are you today? Yeah, good. So Jessie is from the Collective Edition. It's a luxury home and life management company, and Jessie will tell us a bit more about her business. So, what is home and life management? Uh, so the home management side, that's from talking to you previously, it's looking at the way that the home flows, isn't it, and works for that individual. Is that correct?
So I can help with spatial planning, which is what you're referring to in terms of making sure that a home flows correctly and that the layout is optimized for the household that are using it. But I also help doing sort of cost management and working out budgets for people if they're looking to do some home improvements and they're not sure what it's going to cost or whether they could afford it. Can help on the design side of things. So potentially they know what they want to do with the space, but they can't quite visualize it or know how it's going to look. And then from there, I can coordinate various different trades to get the right people to implement and deliver that project. And then I will manage the trades on behalf of the client until the project is handed over. So it's a full service support that is very much designed at working for a client and making sure that their home is working in the way that they want it to, and that projects are being delivered with them in mind, but also bridging the gap between subcontractors and homeowner and being able to deliver that support to everybody to make sure that projects are being completed, to budget, to time, to the program, and that answers are being questions are being answered efficiently and effectively and correctly, because that often can be, people think, oh, I can project manage this renovation.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Yes, you may well be able to, but there are chances that it will be delayed or it's going to overrun in terms of the budget because you might make an incorrect decision that has a knock-on impact.
And I think that's where you come in, isn't it? Is that expertise of being able to manage those projects from start to finish. Like you say, we could possibly do it, but the mistakes that we can make, and plus we're all busy. So to have someone like you that they've not got to ring each trade. If there's an issue, you've already picked that issue up before it becomes an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about being there for my clients. It's about being there for people and being able to almost sort of hold their hand through what would normally be a stressful or time-consuming journey. And it's about making sure that things are being done sort of for the best for them and keeping them in mind and at the forefront, and being able to make the process for them enjoyable because they can focus on, like the end result. How is their home going to look? How is it going to feel? What experience are they going to get from their home once it's been changed or sort of reshuffled? And it's about being able to allow people to have that enjoyment And importantly for me is also about being able for people to have time for themselves to spend however they may want. The whole reason that I started this business, so sort of a bit of a background for people, is I've always loved property and I've always loved construction, and I've worked in it for a long time now, starting out doing design and technical drafting and then doing project management. And last year, I just took on way too much, both personally and professionally. I had a work project overseas that I was flying back and forth from. It was on a very fast track program, so it's quite high pressured. And I was also planning my wedding, my honeymoon, pre-wedding celebrations. We decided that we were going to sell our house in Norwich. We thought, hey, let's relocate at the same time. And do you know what? Let's buy a house and let's make it a doer-upper. And that was all in the space of 6 months. And we got married and it was fantastic. And we went on our honeymoon. And I became very physically poorly, but also mentally. I just crumbled. And I completely burnt out, and it ended up in us having to cancel our honeymoon short by 2 weeks. We got an emergency flight home from St. Lucia. And it was all because I just took on too much. And I basically identified, I was really pleased that it happened. Okay, first of all, it's a good thing. It isn't a sob story. It caused me to be able to reassess everything I'm doing in my life and why, and really strip everything back. And, what is my impression on this world? What am I leaving for people? How am I helping people? Who am I spending my time with? And I could recognize that we get help in so many areas of our life. We get help with our businesses and our work. We can get help with our bodies and mind. We can get help with social media. But we don't really have much help at home for the bigger life projects. And that's sort of what I was able to identify from my own experience, was that I had so many home projects on, and I'm not alone in that.
No.
And we don't have someone who can actually help sort of manage us through that process, deliver us those results, but without having to take our time and, without having to have the stress and the hassle. And it was because of my experience and being able to identify that I thought, you know what, now I really want to be able to lend this help to people at home, because it's really important that we have time for ourselves. I compromised my mental health. Some people compromise their relationships, they compromise their work, because we're all trying to achieve so much and we want to be able to have it all. And sometimes we need help to have it all, and that's okay. But we haven't got very good at accepting or asking for help. Kind of like what goes on behind our front doors is really, really private.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, no, it's okay to need some support, whether that's because you're overstretched and you feel like you could. I don't think you ever really see burnout coming. It just, you think everything's fine and this is how it needs to be, and then it just smacks you in the face and you're on the floor. But if you can see that you're, overstretched and you're getting tired and you're having, you're feeling frustrated and things like that, or perhaps it's just you just want some more time for yourself. You want to be able to finish work, close the laptop, and then go and spend time with your friends and family, or do something that just kind of like warms your soul. I think it's important to be able to create that for people, and that is sort of what has driven me to launch the business and present it in that way. But home and life management, that term, is something I'm trying to sort of get people to get their head around. And I think for me, it's about focusing on the bigger projects like home improvements and renovations, and making sure that we have a home that feels safe, that sort of allows us to relax, allows us to feel happy rather than get frustrated. And then that can kind of extend, once I'm working with a client and with them sort of for life's journey, that can then extend to other things that they might want sort of help with. It might be that they want help relocating and finding somewhere to live. They might want help with actually organising movers and packers. They might want help finding someone who could do the dog walking and the house sitting and things like that. And that is something where, they could give me a call and say, Jess, I really need some help. Like, things just feel too much this week. Would you mind just facilitating this smaller project for me? And I can go, sure, no problem. Like, it's okay. We can make things manageable.
And I think you're right where you said about people, what happens behind their front door is it's almost, you don't want to let people in to know your inner secrets or what you're struggling with. We all have a persona that we put out to everyone, but I think, I don't know if it's since COVID or what, but mental health is such an awareness now that it's okay to say you need help, and it's brilliant that we've got people like yourself that like you just said, it's not just the big projects, it's sometimes just the little things that can easily just tip someone over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I know before, I sort of burnt out. I was getting frustrated at all sorts of, even if, like, normally, like, say for example now, and it's a silly example, but if I stubbed my toe into the door, I'd be like, oh, that's annoying. But when I was on that edge, it was literally like the world was ending. Like, oh my God, this door is against my foot. Like, the world is against me. And I think the thing with mental health, and I really like that the conversation is changing and the narrative is becoming more open, because it's a really isolating challenge to have to go through. And if you feel like you can't talk to people and you feel like you're on your own, it makes everything so much worse. And I've been really, really grateful that I have been able to say to someone, actually, do you know what? I'm struggling and, I'm not in a good place. And the support I have received has absolutely blown me away.
Yeah.
And so it just shows you that even if you just say to someone, I need help, most people will go, okay, well, what do you need help with? How can I help you? How can I make things better?
I think sometimes we're frightened to ask for help, aren't we? But I think, if you don't mind me saying, in Circle Network, we are all friends. We're not. I wouldn't say that we're business acquaintance or just connections. We are friends. And for example, last weekend, wasn't there? There was you put a post up on LinkedIn, and there was I'll say it, an idiot put a comment on there, and you reached out to the Circle Network, and within minutes there was a couple of us that were there just to give you that advice as well, isn't it? So it is okay to ask for advice, and I think Circle for me has really helped me in my business to be able to reach out to anyone and know that I've got a friend at the end of the line or wherever, isn't it?
Yeah, Circle Networks is great for that. They have people there, the friends that I found have helped me in so many ways, not just with sort of like starting off my own business, but sometimes when I've gone, oh my God, guys, what am I doing? Like, imposter syndrome, please help. And they just rally around you. And it's just something that I've really learned over, the last year. It's just, if you need help, ask for it. We're so we're so used to having to sort of have, like, say, Instagram photo finish homes. We're having to, we used to, filters on social medias and sort of photos. We're used to having to present this sort of like really polished version of ourselves. That just isn't true. We are all struggling with something in some way or another. And if you aren't right now, you might be further down the line. And I think to be able to have those conversations opened up and for people to know, actually, do you know what? We're not all perfect. We don't all get it right. Actually, failing is what allows you to grow. Discomfort is what allows you to grow. And learning from others is what allows you to grow.
And I think you touched it perfectly on social media. Social media is obviously a powerful tool, and it's brilliant for us who are in business to get our messages out. But it does show that 100% perfect life, and life is shit sometimes. It's absolute shit sometimes, and I think sometimes in business, especially people like yourself and me who are individual business owners, it's bloody lonely as well. And to be able to reach out and say, I need help, I think is really important. I think previously people wouldn't reach out and was embarrassed. And I'm not trying to say this in a sexist way, but I think men find it even harder than women And that's not sexist or anything like that. But I suffer from mental health. I know my triggers of when things are good or when things are bad. And I say to my partner, I'm having a crap day. I just need to go and sit in a darkened corner and maybe just close, just have some time to myself. But I think what you're doing with the life management and helping take some of those pressures, having someone, like yourself, and I know that you're 100% approachable. You are generally a nice person to be able to go, Jessie, I need some help. And like you say, if it's, I need some help doing my dog walking because I just can't cope with that. I think before I met you and just seeing your business on the horizon, I thought it was just, you just project manage big builds, but knowing that it's the little things as well, isn't it? That you can help with.
That's what
it's
project managing people's lives, really. And I really want. I mean, there's a couple of things that sort of just sprung to mind. First of all, sort of with men and mental health. I definitely think it's been harder for people to come forward, and also I've certainly seen it in the construction industry. A lot of it is about having, you go around building sites and it's, oh, come on, cheer up, mate, stiff upper lip. It's a very sort of stereotypical older view of like how someone should carry themselves. And I think it's nice to be able to change that narrative and realize that actually it doesn't matter how you identify. We are human, and we have emotions and we have feelings, and we all have different ways and coping mechanisms of dealing with those, and that is okay, whichever way they are. So I think that is really important, and I am very transparent about what I've been through. I actually, on my social medias, I do talk about the struggles of the last year, and because I think it's important for people to know I get it. I understand what you're going through, and I can relate to what you're going through, and that is what makes me so driven behind my business, because I obviously love property and I love construction. It's all I've ever known and all I've ever loved.
Although, Jessie, I could never imagine you in a high-vis vest and a hard hat. I've only ever seen you, so you always look so glamorous. I couldn't imagine seeing you in a high-vis jacket and some
I'll send you a picture
shoes.
of me in a high-vis and safety shoes for you, and then you can put it like in the show notes or something. But I love construction sites; they're great fun. I forgot my train of thought. Yeah, and I do get it, and so therefore, when I'm working for people, it's very much about adding value to their life, not just in terms of like the home and the changes that they're actually seeing in front of them, but also it's about knowing that I just want to make your life easier, because I know what it's like to just feel like there's just so much going on and the weight of the world just feels too heavy. And I feel like because of my experience, that puts me in a good position to be able to help people with that. And I'm still on my health journey, my recovery journey, but I'm significantly, I feel like I'm really getting there. And so I can recognize the signs. I know for myself like what I need now and when I need time outs, and I've learned to say no to stuff because I'm just a yes, because I love doing things with people and I love helping people out. And so I just hope that by me being honest about what I've gone through, that will help people. And then my other mission with the business is that I want this perceived version of luxury living to be accessible for everybody. We should all be able to have a home that provides us that comfort and that we enjoy and that we like and that we're proud of. And so from that, I'm trying to make sure that my social media, rather than actually telling people what I do, it's about providing them hints and tips. It's about adding value to them and then being able to go, actually, I may not be able to work with Jessie just yet, but actually what I can do is start to implement changes which are going to impact me. And I try and do Monday to Friday sort of like work sort of related sort of value add. And then the weekends I focus on mental health and the things that have helped me sort of get better. Because I do think, it should be accessible to everybody. And that's actually why I've also got the collective initiative. So once a year, people can recommend someone to me who is in need and of having some project support. And I'll select someone once a year and I'll do that free of charge, because we all are entitled to have comfort and happiness behind our front door.
100%. I'm going to put on the screen, for those who are watching the video version, Jessie's web address. So those who are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it's www.thecollectiveedition.com. And it is an amazing website. It looks lovely as a social media digital marketer. It's lovely. And obviously before this, I had a good nosy around Jessie, and there was one thing in there that I want to know, and I want to know where it was. 12 countries in 12 months was the statement. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
So I, as I sort of touched on earlier, I'm very much a yes person. I love living life to the fullest, and I love exploring new countries, seeing the architecture. I have an obsession with doors abroad. So if you go, I've got a travel Instagram page, and it's just a lot of it is doors, because I'm fascinated by them. And I'm quite spontaneous. And so let's say tomorrow I'm free, I would quickly jump on my phone, go on Skyscanner, click everywhere, find the cheapest flight, book it, and off I would go for first flight out in the morning, and I'd catch the last flight back that evening, and I'd go for a day. Sometimes I'd do a night trip, so it was always 24 to 48 hours. And there was one year where I just went like literally every month, because I could get return flights. So I love Riga in Latvia. It's my rule is typically don't visit a place twice. Unless I do skiing and things like that. So there are some places where you kind of go repeat times. But Riga, I had to break the rules for that. Been 4 or 5 times now. Just absolutely love it. But it was an £8 return flight, and the parking was 30 quid. I was like, I couldn't even go down to London on the train for that. And it was just a really good way for me to travel and go and explore and see the world in a cost-effective way as well, and just really open my eyes to other cultures and other foods. And so I've done a lot of Europe, because obviously flight times, you don't really want to be up in the air for really more than 3 hours.
No,
because then you haven't got much time when you actually get there. But I've seen some wonderful places, and I've actually now got a day trip booked next month to go to Salzburg, which I'm really looking forward to, and I'm also very apprehensive about, because when I said earlier on, we're on a honeymoon and everything kind of went a bit Pete Tong. I actually don't know what that saying is, so sorry if I've used that incorrectly. And we had to get the emergency flight home, but since then, going away from home, I associate leaving my house with those feelings of thinking, I'm so poorly, I actually think I'm going to die. I genuinely believe that's it. And so sort of in August last year, I couldn't even go to the pub over the road because I was just so fearful. And I've been really working hard to push myself. I've been to Frankfurt, I've been to Rome, I've been to Mallorca, I've been to Turkey. And for the most part, they were all pretty terrible. Because I'm trying to push myself to get better, and I am doing significantly better, and each trip is getting more manageable. But I said to my husband, I'm becoming really reliant on you when it comes to traveling. What if I just try taking it back to basics, and what made me fall in love with travel in the first place, which was doing these day trips? I'm not comfortable enough to just book it to go tomorrow. My anxieties and my panic attacks with the travel are still, very much there. And so I need to carefully plan it. But I just thought, no, it's going to be a great time to try and kind of discover that love. And I've gone for Salzburg because I'm learning German at the moment. So I can put that to test. That will give me a focus when I'm there. The flight is sort of 2 hours long. And if I do run into any difficulties, I've got people who can get to me pretty swiftly. So it seems good.
I
So yeah,
I I love travel as well. So in a previous career, I was in the military for 8 years before, unfortunately, getting medically discharged, and I was a cabin crew in the RAF, so an air steward. So I understand these short trips because a lot of our trips were nights, minimum stopovers, so 14 hours. So I had 14 hours in Las Vegas, so I had 14 hours in Azerbaijan. I had 2 weeks stuck in Washington, D.C., staying in a 5-star hotel, and that was really, really hard.
it sounds challenging.
Yeah, and then I flew to Bosnia, and we didn't want to stay in a tent, so we went to Italy for the night and for a training flight. So yeah, I love travel. I love that part of my life and going to different places all over the world. It's funny that you talk about doors, taking pictures of doors and stuff. I live out in the countryside now, very close to our friend Mel Foley, who is joining me next week. So she's 6 miles down the road. And my thing is, I love taking pictures of sheep and cows now. So when I'm out on my dog walk, I always I've got my phone's just full of either clients' products. So I have a jewellery shop in Southend discount, gold. But it's either that, my kids, or then there's just a random picture of a cow or a sheep. There's something about them that I love to take pictures of. So it's funny what we love, what our camera rolls are full of.
Yeah, it's quite funny because when I go away with them, friends or family, they're like, "Oh, Jess, have you seen this door? You might like this one." Everyone kind of knows it. Like, I'm like, "Stop! There's a door. I like the look of it. I must photograph this." I don't know what it is about a door that I like so much, but there is something.
But I think if you've got that architectural interest, hasn't it? I suppose there is some quirky and wonderful doors abroad, isn't there?
Yeah. Just architecture, just generally, I love it. Have you been to Montenegro before?
I haven't, no.
So Kota there is stunning. I'll send you some photos. But absolutely beautiful place, and they've got this lovely old town with this. It's got this lovely wall, nice mountains in the background. There's a big pool of water. I don't know if it's I think probably maybe an ocean. Yeah, no, it must be the ocean because it's on that side. And it's just absolutely stunning. And that is a hidden gem that I think is going to become very popular in the coming years.
Yeah. So also on your website, it says that you've lived in Tenerife and Mallorca. So what was you doing out? I'm just a very nosy podcaster. Next up is
I'm always happy to share. So when I was at university, I studied interior architecture, and that's my degree, that's my background. And between the final, sort of the second year and the final year, you get quite long breaks. And so I got a job working for, it was Thompson at the time, they're now TUI, working overseas. And I was the person that was on stage hosting shows, performing shows, doing the lighting and teching. I was a person around the poolside. Hi everyone, are you having a good holiday? And then literally as soon as I finished my university and handed in, I think it was either the final dissertation or we had a crit. And crits is basically where you got you did a big presentation, you got critiqued on all your work. And I literally then just jumped on a flight and went straight back out for my final season. And I just absolutely loved it. And it was because when I was a kid, I didn't watch cartoons. I was watching Homes Under the Hammer and Grand Designs. And I was like, Kevin McLeod, Sarah Beanie, I want to be you. And so I thought, right, how do I actually make that happen? How do I make myself comfortable hosting and presenting? And how do I make myself have really good construction and property knowledge? And so everything I've done in my life, in my career, has been about making that a reality. So as I said, I did interior architecture, I did all the hosting stuff, and I thought, actually, I feel comfortable. I've done some stuff for Scouts and performed hosted at a jamboree event in front of 10,000 people. So I'm quite comfortable with that. And then in terms of my career, I came back from having worked abroad, and I thought, right, what don't I know about? What am I rubbish at? And I thought, you know what? I really don't understand construction. I finished my degree, but that's kind of my weak spot. So I went to an engineering company and convinced this gentleman that he could give me a job as a draftsman, which is the person who kind of puts together drawings that show people on the shop floor how to make things and how to assemble things and put things together. And that kind of then started my journey. And when I'd sort of like, right, I've got a good understanding now of how things are kind of going together, and I know how to pull drawings together and how to produce them. But what do I want to know about next? I thought, you know what, I'd really like to know about joinery and timber. So I found a company who are absolutely fantastic. They're called Norfolk Oak and Naked Kitchens. And I went over there and was helping them with their bespoke kitchen worktops. And then they said to me, Jess, would really like to set up a bespoke kitchen manufacturing company, which is Naked Kitchens. Would you be interested in setting up and running it? I thought, yeah, I'd love that. That's a bit of me. Being able to help with the running of the business, doing the designs, working with the clients, overseeing the production, and kind of having to do all of that was great fun. And it just got to a point where I thought, I feel like my learning curve, rather than it being a really steep incline, has kind of flattened a little bit. And I think I was 25 at the time. And I thought, right, what do I want to learn about next? I thought, well, I really want to go into high-end joinery. I want to know about, nickel plating, antique mirrors, mother of pearl, shagreen, which is stingray skin, which is used on furniture. And I was very fortunate to be able to get a job, a very, very good company, working as a draftsman initially, and then working up into project management. And then, my whole thing has been about, okay, well, what do I need to learn next? How do I make sure that my knowledge is filled up? And so that was residential and some super yachts, and then I started doing some super yacht refit for a different company. And it's all been like, okay, how do I grow my knowledge? How do I make sure that I'm keeping pace and I'm keeping up to date? And how do I make sure that I get myself in that position where I can present those TV programs and be on people's TV and have achieved that, that 7-year-old's dream?
Yeah, I was so last week I had Dave McCall and I introduced him as the Gloria Hunniford of Circle Networks, and and you're definitely the Carol Smiley of changing rooms of Circle Networks. Again, as I said to Dave, I'm showing my age because I'm sure there'll be some younger listeners that wouldn't even know who Carol Smiley is.
But they've got Google, so it's fine.
Yeah, Wikipedia. Go on there. We'll put the link in the show notes.
I might go and edit Wikipedia and put my name in there.
Yeah. So onto social media. We've touched on it slightly through. What would say is your biggest challenge, and what do you love about social media?
I think my biggest challenge has been in creating a new industry, how, where people aren't going to be Googling you and finding you. How do you get across in a succinct manner that people can relate to, and not only relate to, but go, actually, I could really do with some help in that. Trying to convey that onto social media has been a real challenge for me. It was only literally in the last couple of weeks where I've been really focusing on my messaging. And there's someone that I met through Circle Networks, Aaron Nelson, fantastic person working in TV and helping people with their video content. And he said to me, don't tell people, show people. And that was like, oh yeah, rather than talk at people, why not go by my ethos of about it being adding value and helping people? Why not just kind of strip it back and go on that? So I've kind of shifted my social media focus in the last week, and sort of, as I said earlier on, having that Monday to Friday, it being sort of project related value that I give to people, and on the weekend giving them that mental health sort of support, or I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I'm not saying that this is
I just think your content I just think your content has been real. And, you know, sometimes you see some messages on social media, and you think, and I think it helps that you're on the camera. It's a, you know, and it's a real message, and I think that's how people relate to what you're offering, because you can tell that story and you've gone through it, and I think by going through it, it's made you a stronger person to be able to help others, and you know, I think that is quite a powerful message, isn't it?
Thank you. That's really kind. Yeah, I'm definitely all about just being upfront and honest and showing all of the sides of life that we experience and go through. And I think I actually did a post just a few days ago where I sort of could recognise that the way that I want to grow the company, and at the pace that I want to grow the company, I need to be able to have a stronger cash flow. And I thought, well, I don't really want to put out there that, you know, I'm open to sort of some freelance or part-time or some temporary work. You know, what if people, you know, what if that shows people I've failed? What if I'm going to be judged? And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm getting in my own bloody way here. Like, if what I want to do is increase cash flow so I can grow the business in the way that I want and I can help more people in the way that I want, why am I getting in the way of that? But also, why not use that opportunity to say to people, actually, do you know what? I felt really quite scared having to put this post up, but I recognised I'm getting in my own way. And I hope that in showing that makes other people go, do you know what? It's all right. It's okay to be vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with that. And that kind of then leads me into your other question of, you know, what do I love about social media? What I love is the community and the support. Yes, there might be the odd person who might challenge you or may have a different viewpoint to you, and that's okay. We're all human and we're all different. That's why restaurants have multiple menus on, you know, items on the menu. We all want different things. So it's okay. But definitely I've been blown away by that community and the support for people. And that is the thing that I really love. And I've realised as well that with social media, where I'm trying to change from talking to people, telling people to showing people, I've also thought and realised, actually, no, I want to interact more with my community in terms of what they're doing and making sure that I'm commenting on their posts and asking questions and creating that friendship. Because yes, we may be on a screen, but we are all human and we're people, and we can grab a coffee at any point if we wanted to meet up, and it's just about creating that friendship, which is, you know.
Well, I think if we were to meet up, Jessie, I think your coffee would be cold by the time you got here. So for those listening, I'm up in the northeast of Scotland, so I think we're definitely your coffee will definitely be cold by the time you get
might
here.
Even brave a flight for you.
Yes, and that's do you know, that is the joy. So with my business, obviously, I'm because you work you would work with clients all over the UK, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and with my and my business, I can do that as well. And I was actually speaking to someone the other day saying how I can jump on a flight at Inverness Airport. So I'm quite lucky. I'm halfway between Inverness and Aberdeen. So I've got two airports to choose from, and they're both an hour-ish away. So I was saying to them, I can jump on a plane at Inverness Airport, and I can be in London before before 9 o'clock in the morning, and some people are still on their commute to the office. I think you know, we are very fortunate that we can work wherever and we can travel, you know, get to some places quicker than people who live on the doorstep. My commute to work is all 5 minutes from the house to the garage. I don't know how people in England do these 4-hour, 3-hour commutes.
it takes up
blow
so much
my
time,
mind.
doesn't it? And I think as well, operating in the way that we do, it means that what we're doing is accessible for people. So if people want to be able to work with us, they know that the location, you know, yes, it might provide some challenges that we have to get over as a problem solver. Love that.
Yeah.
But it does mean that, you know, you can help more people with the work you're doing, which is great.
So I think it's quite.
I'm sorry.
No. I just think I just think it's very key to get across that you are available to work across the whole of the UK, because, you know, some people will look and go, "Oh, where is Jessie? Or she can't help me because she's hundreds of miles away." But technology and everything opens up, you know, and I think that's the wonders of social media and technology, that, you know, before you would only deal with people who are on your doorstep, but, you know, like, we've connected and built friendship, and we're miles away, and it just shows you that, you know, I just thought it was really important to get across to the listeners that you are available across the whole of the UK. So don't feel that. I'm sure there's some places that you wouldn't go to, but yes, but you're.
I've got no issue getting in the car. You know, I'm used to travelling for my work anyway. I've had projects in London, I've had projects overseas. It's kind of just what it is, and depending on where the project is in its timeline will depend how more present I need to be at somebody's home or on their site. And you counter in for that. You know, you allow for it. I know that there's going to be times where I need to be away from home for, you know, maybe even a week, because I need to be on site every day, and that's just the nature of the work. And, you know, I love meeting clients face to face if I can, and if that means getting in the car and we have a cup of coffee and a chin wag, like, I'm all for that.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, looking at your social medias, you know, it's very video based. For anyone who's listening and looking for hints and tips, you know, I've took myself out of my comfort zone. I used to be what they call a faceless marketer. You know, I'd never put this ugly mug in front of anyone, just purely because I didn't want to give them nightmares. But
very, very hard on yourself there.
I've took myself out of my comfort zone. So the first thing I just started doing was little video based, and that's brilliant for getting reach and engagement. And I always wanted to do a podcast, and I personally felt I was in the right place and I had the right support. I put a message out on our Circle Network Slack, and I was shocked at the amount of people that were wanting to come along. You know, I've got a list of, I've still got 4 or 5 people that I've still to get scheduled in. I was really shocked, but I think sometimes you do have to take yourself out of your comfort zone. And what I love about your content is that it is real. It's, you know, it's not glammed up. It's honest approach, and I think that's where help people, in my professional opinion, is that they connect with what you're saying.
Yeah, I hope it just makes people realise that they're not on their own, and that they can get help at home now. You know, you couldn't before, and now you can. And it's just, I just hope that, you know, people feel able to reach out and realise that people are there to support them, and it's okay to be vulnerable and to talk about your fears and the things that scare you, as well as all the good things. Because I also like sharing all the fun stuff.
Because there is a lot of good things, and I think, you know,
so good things.
I don't think I could ever work for someone again, because I think the freedom of being a small business owner allows you to craft your own career path and your own freedom. So I don't think I could go back to any type of corporate world or any working for someone. So anyone looking to reach out to Jessie, she's got Instagram, Facebook, she's on LinkedIn. Her website again is thecollectiveedition.com. Jessie, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you. And as in the Circle Network, I call these collaboration coffees, not collaboration calls. It has been fascinating finding out more about you and your journey, and more about your business. Cheers.
Anyone
So
see we're clinking our cups of coffee over the call.
yeah. So yeah, it's been brilliant speaking to you. Thank you very much.
Sean, it's been really lovely having a chat with you, and I'm looking forward to learning more tips from you as well on social media. And that does make me think, have you got any tips for people who are just starting their business and how to handle the beast that is social media?
I think for me, the key is don't try to be on everywhere. By understanding where your customers are. So I only work with B2C businesses because I concentrate on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So they're my platforms. And I think if you're starting out in business, you feel that you need to be everywhere, and you can't be everywhere. And your ideal customer isn't everywhere. So it's about choosing the right platforms, doing it consistently, and consistently is what you decide is consistently. Don't listen to any of that rubbish blogs that are out there that say that you must post on a Wednesday at 12 o'clock to get maximum engagement. You know, these platforms have powerful analytics that break it down into simple terms for you. So doing it consistently might be just doing a post once or twice a week. There's a fine balance of consistently doing it and being in someone's face and think, oh, Jesus Christ, there's another bloody video of Sean. I'm fed up with seeing him. So yeah, I think for me, if you're starting out in business, understand your customer, where you know that they're going to be. Facebook is a brilliant one to start with. Everyone's on Facebook. Mostly everyone's on Facebook. If you've got a picture-based product or something that looks really good, Instagram, and use all their features as well. So reels and stories. Don't just stick to putting into the feed. Stories. Obviously are brilliant, and really you can get really good engagement. I've started experimenting with TikTok on my own page, and that's why I'm now pushing TikTok. It is going to be the next. Well, it is the next big platform, and I think it's going to just get bigger and bigger. As short form videos drive engagement, and it's shocking that I was so surprised when TikTok came out and that you can put a video up on TikTok and you can get like 2,000 views. I had 2,000 views talking about doing social media audits. So that's one service that I offer apart from the fully managed is I will look at people's social media and fully audit it and give them recommendations. And I thought, why would 2,000 people watch that? But it's informative. And I think what you're doing as well, Jessie, I think would work really well in TikTok because it is an informative. TikTok's not all about stupid videos and cats. I think people think that you have to put cats on every social media platform. Don't put your cats on social media. Well,
I love my cats and my dog, but
yeah.
TikTok actually. So for me, like, I wish when I'd first launched my business, like, our paths had crossed, because I was very much like I was trying to manage all of the platforms.
Yeah.
And actually now, although I do post across all the platforms, my focus is on LinkedIn and my focus is on TikTok. Because I felt like I wasn't able to deliver my best to everything. And so I thought, no, I'll try and focus on two that feels more manageable. I will still sort of cross-pollinate that content across the other one so that I'm still present. But I definitely, I mean, I wish if I'd met you when I first launched my business.
But I think that is the problem. I think that is the problem, isn't it, Jessie? You start your business, you think, oh Jesus, there's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's Twitter, well, X now, YouTube. There's so many, and you think that to get your message out there, you have to be on them all. And I think that's a key takeaway from anyone who's starting up their business is you don't need to be everywhere, just where your customers are. So understanding who your ideal customer is to me is key as building a business plan. Is getting that persona almost of knowing who your customer is, and by knowing your customer, you'll know that what platform they're more likely to be on. And I was reading something recently this week actually about how short form video is the way forward, and it will help drive organic reach and engagement. But I think also social media advertising for very small budgets get really good results as well. So, we all look at pay to click and Google and all that lot, but I prefer social media advertising. I think you can target it really well and for a very small budget. So, as a small business starting up, paid advertising on social media can get good results as well. So yeah. So thank you very much, Jessie. This has been a lovely episode. Next week, I am joined by the Queen of Embroidery, my closest circle member, Mel Foley, and hopefully by next week, well, I will have by next week my own embroidered branded wear. So on the video podcast, I can show her amazing work off as well. So thanks very much, Jessie. And for those tuning in, look forward to you joining us next week.